Okay, let's start. And I'm hoping people will join during the introduction. This will also give some time to people who are running late. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, in whatever time zone. Sorry. My name is Maja Białecka, and it is my pleasure to be moderator of the panel discussion tonight. The event is organized thanks to Polonium Foundation. So let me introduce quickly Polonium. All right, I am hoping you can see my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. So Polonium is an amazing organization. It is a foundation spanning over 42 countries and 6 continents. We have almost 1,000 of active members, and hopefully after today's event, we will have even more. As you can see in the infographics, there are various positions in academia and industry that are our members. And also we span across various, let's say, categories of science and industry. Polonium has numerous phases, various phases. So there is mentoring part when we're trying to connect people, young Polish scientists with scientists abroad. We also organize platforms where you can network with people, where you can be exposed to various job offers and build on your network. So now to dive into a little bit more details, let's say that you're at the crossroads in your careers. So this is a perfect place to be, but also I would recommend checking Polonium Network, where you can read about various job offers. If you are in academia and trying to get some fundings, we also have a search engines where you can search for grants relevant to your research and your needs. We also organize various events. So this is a perfect opportunity to expand on your network. And we also have a forum where you can discuss, exchange ideas, also meet new people in a virtual world, and then hopefully one day in person. So today's event is Career Café. This is a series of meetings that started in November 2021, so 4 years and counting. And today we will talk about career crossroads, academia versus industry. And as I already mentioned, I'll be the moderator of the discussion with 3 of our panelists. Unfortunately, one panelist got sick, but it doesn't stop us, and I'm sure the discussion will be amazing. And if you're interested in any content from Polonium Foundation, please sign up for our newsletter, check us on social media, scan the code, and join Polonium Network. All right, so without further ado, I will ask our panelists to introduce themselves. Magda, can I ask you to start?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Magda Szczygieł-Buchner. I am a cancer biologist by training. I studied biotechnology in Krakow at the Jagiellonian University, both bachelor's and master's. And during my studies, I did several internships in different European countries, which convinced me that actually I want to move abroad for my PhD. And this is what I did. In 2015, I moved to Germany, to Heidelberg, to do a PhD in systems biology in the German Cancer Research Center, when I was focusing on analyzing tumor microenvironment in lung cancer and characterize the proteomes of fibrotic lungs, human lungs. And exactly this proteomic mass spectrometry experience is what then made me move to industry, where after my PhD, I moved on to work at GeneData, where I first was testing software for analyzing mass spectrometry data, and now I'm a product manager, working on software used in pharma industry to comprehensively analyze the mass spectrometry samples. So I will be representing the industry part into this discussion. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Magda. Also, I will reveal that Magda is part of Polonium Foundation.
That's true.
If you would like to be like Magda, please join. Thank you, Magda. Joanna, could you please introduce yourself?
Of course, thank you. Hello, my name is Joanna Czopla-Masztafiak, and I am a physicist. I work at the Institute of Nuclear Physics, Polish Academy of Sciences, so I am a representative of academia with no experience in industry, to be honest. I finished medical physics at the AGH University of Science and Technology, and then I started my PhD here at the Institute. After my PhD, I took a scholarship postdoc at the Porsche Institute in Switzerland in a group of Swissfel, and we were preparing the big opening of the Swissfel instruments back then. And after 2 years, I came back to Poland. I prepared my habilitation thesis, and after finishing it, I get the position of the head of the Department of Applied Spectroscopy here at the Institute. I am working with X-ray spectroscopy mainly with the development of the equipment, and also I am performing experiments in our lab at the synchrotron at the XFEL, so X-ray free electron lasers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's always great to have a physicist on a panel. And last but not least, Piotr.
Thanks a lot. Hey everyone, my name is Piotrek Bielecki. I've been in both academia and industry for a long time. So after finishing my studies in genetics at the University of Łódź, I did my PhD still on microbial genetics, but more in the host pathogen interaction direction in Germany in Helmholtz Center for Infection Research, where then I continue as a postdoc in the Twin Core Institute under Medical School of Hanover, gradually moving always towards the host out of our host pathogen interaction work, and always focusing on transcriptomics. After that, I moved to United States, to Yale University, to the immunobiology department, to Richard Flavell lab, which sort of helped me functionally change into the immunology and really focus this time on the host and what are the systems in the immunology which are responsible for response to different diseases. That's where I worked as well on the new technologies. Back then it was single cell sequencing was just starting, which then helped me in other collaborations and other connections with Boston and Broad Institute with Avik Vregev, who actually helped me and show me and sort of guide me towards as well moving to the biotech. So after that, I moved into the small biotech company where we are focusing on single cell sequencing as a platform to find a new drug targets for inflammatory diseases. We did one of our drugs went to the clinic, and in my next chapters of the industry experience, I work for venture capital companies in starting really early companies, as well as having a fantastic experience in the big pharma in AstraZeneca. And currently I'm back in the biotech and back in the very early startup company, building it from scratch.
Awesome, thank you. So it's not only academia versus industry, but also very different branches of industry. Which
and there's a lot of different.
It will be very interesting to hear more about. If the audience has any questions, we will have some time towards the end. So please, during the discussion, think about what else you would like to hear from our panelists. And for now, I will start the grilling. So first question is, what made you choose your career path, whether it's academia or industry, and whether it was very well thought through choice or just serendipity? And Magda, maybe I will start you to elaborate on that.
Sure. I'm not sure whether you will like the answer, because my answer was pure coincidence.
I love it.
No, because, I think what people usually like hearing such situations, yes, I planned it carefully. I went to whatever career events, I networked. I did nothing like this. I always thought I would, I would pursue an academic career. Um, However, how it happened for me is that for private reasons, I wanted to move to Munich. So I was in Germany, in Heidelberg. I wanted to move to Munich. So I simply started Googling for mass spectrometry scientist jobs in Munich. And then the job at GeneData popped up. And at first, it seemed like not a good fit because it was software tester job and I knew nothing about testing software. However, I was always like, because my PhD was in systems biology, I always had a lot of connection to data modelers, to physicists, to computational people. I knew how to talk to them. So I thought, this could be interesting. My soft skills could match. So I applied and it turned out that not only I was a great fit and I got the job very quickly, but also on the job, it turned out I'm actually doing really great exactly because of all the different experiences that then sort of played together really well. I can perhaps talk about it more later, but quick question is, it was not well planned. It was pure choice, but I was just open to, try new things and this worked great.
Thank you. I think this is the case for every single scientist or scientist moving to industry that I know, but not every single person is brave enough to admit that this is complete coincidence. So thank you, Magda, for sharing your story. Joanna, you have a little bit different story, so could you share it with us?
Well, it's also not a story that I dreamed about scientific work and working in academia for my whole life. The thing is that I finished my studies in 2008, and it was a really tough time in Poland. So there was not a lot of job opportunities. And also I am from the generation that didn't care that much during studies. So we didn't, we didn't have we didn't go to the companies. We didn't ask for any experience to get an experience and so on. We were just having fun for 5 years in general. So after I finished my studies, it turned out that there is no job for a medical physicist in Poland, mainly. And I really wanted to work in a hospital. I didn't want to work in a company and so on. The luck was that I did my master project at the synchrotron. So I saw how it looks like, and I thought that this is really interesting, and I really like doing experiment in such a huge device. So I was looking for opportunities, and it turns out that I can do my PhD at the institute, and I stayed here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So it was, lucky chain of events, right? It always ends up this way.
Exactly.
Yes. Piotr, can I ask you, but I will make it harder for you, since you perform numerous switches within the industry. So for you, I will also add one extra part about fears and doubts.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I guess, just starting from why the career path look like this and what made you go this path. I see it actually really as a linear progression, right? I don't really distinguish one versus another, because I think for me, always or definitely early in career, the science and the innovation and the drive for the innovation was something what I was very excited about that. And I think I always find this approach like this has to be exciting for me. I really have to just be there every day and be happy that what I'm doing. And I started in academia, obviously, and with PhD and the standard sort of track. But then, and I like, that the word, both Magda and Joanna mentioned the word experience, right? So once with the experience and building your experience, you start sort of seeing that the new avenues are opening, right? So as I mentioned before, post-pathogen, switching to immunology, then the technology, and then sort of realizing that you can innovate, you can pursue the scientific questions in different settings is possible, right? So there is a, moving to the what was the question, what make it, what the fears or what are the challenges with this? When you are moving out of academia, let's put it this way. So before we dive into biotech versus pharma, if we move out of academia, there is one major shift, right? So the major shift is in the industry. Our main goal is to deliver the drugs to the patients, right? And this is what we are looking for, and that kind of changes the way how the work is organized, right? So in case of the fears and being long time in academia, published many papers, really having fantastic time. The fear is, can you be still this innovative and free sort of as we think about academia, right? When you can just basically pursue, as long as you have grants, you can pursue any idea you have and test any iteration of this idea, versus in the industry, it has to be very well organized, and it's more of the teamwork and more of really goal-oriented work with faster timelines. So I guess that was probably the main point, is that am I gonna, sort of, lose is maybe not the right word, but sort of, not have enough freedom as I think I have in academia, right? But again, with the joy of innovation, this is not a problem, and the innovation is just different between those two.
That's true. After so many switches, do you still have doubts? Or, by now doing numerous ones, you're just like, okay, whatever, worked, n times in the past, let's do it.
Honestly, no. I think I am very happy where I am, and I'm very, very proud of my path, and it gave me a lot of exposure to sort of different parts of what we call drug discovery or the innovation, or obviously right now with AI and how this is gonna change our work. So you can do that everywhere, and we can talk about that later, because it's very important as well, the collaboration between those two worlds, right? And obviously place like Boston helps a lot in that, and you don't really lose. And then maybe that's another thing that some people can fear, right? That we'll lose the touch with academia and lose the touch with this type of work. Specific places like Boston, which is the center of that, really kind of, you are not losing that, right? You are still exposed to both worlds equally.
That's fantastic. And indeed, yes, Boston is a great place to be. So lucky you. Okay, let's dive a little bit deeper, thinking about differences in academia versus industry. Magda, can you tell us, for you, what was the biggest, I don't know, shock, the biggest surprise when you walked from one world to another world?
Yeah. Shock, well, maybe it was not a shock, but something that I think I was maybe just not thinking about, didn't expect so much. So in academia, I had my own PhD project. Yes, we were the whole lab, we were a team, meaning we would help each other out, but your project was your baby, you're accountable for it, right? Moving to industry, you are part of a team and you really feel how it's a team effort. So both your duties, but also your successes are not your individual successes, they are team successes, which has both, pluses and minuses, but it's really like a shift into thinking about your work as exactly collaborative. In the same time, you're also not on your own, because you can get help from others, from your team, like sort of, I think compared to academia, there is less moments where you would need to figure things out on your own, which maybe sometimes you would miss, right? It depends sort of how people also are as scientists. So this to me was I think the biggest difference. Like it's much less individual compared to academia. Well, then there are of course also all those aspects of work-life balance. I was really a workaholic back in academia, and I think I got much healthier balance now in industry, also allowing me to have have time for other things, other hobbies, NGOs like Polonium. So this is really something that I think I would have never have time for if I was still in academia. So this was, I think, the second very big difference.
That's true. Those are slightly different worlds, and there is always a price that you pay. You lose something, but you also gain something, right? So, Joanna, question for you. I know that you're in academia, but you can just like give us your perspective on, in your opinion, in which environment you think it is easier to navigate with your own ideas.
Well, I think as Magda said, in academia, you have your own project. You can get money for your research, right? It also depends, of course, on the team that you are working on and your supervisor and so on. But in all the groups that I was working in, I had my own things. I was also a part of a bigger group, but and there was some things that we did together. But I have always something little that was only mine. So, and for me, it's also important to organize my work by my own and to check, to test my own ideas and to have a space for it. So I think, I think in academia, but yeah, as I said, I don't have a comparison with the industry, but this is what I observed.
Perfect, thank you. So now, Piotr, it will be great to hear your opinion as you've been in academia. You did your postdoc. You went to Yale Med School. That I'm sure was a very fast and energetic experience. But you also went through VC and big pharma, biotech. So those are very different worlds, even though you pack them into one box called industry.
Yeah.
They are very different. So from your point of view, is it easy everywhere? If you have like an idea, is it easy to pursue it? Or sometimes in some places it is harder compared to the others?
So first, about those differences, right? And indeed, we established already the main difference and the huge difference between academia and industry in general is really, owning your own project and being responsible by yourself for what you're doing in academia versus really, contribute to the collective mission, which is the discovery of new drugs and having actually as well shared accountability, right? So that kind of works both ways in industry. And I think what's important for understanding and maybe for our listeners who are still in academia and thinking about switching is the main sort of operation system of the industry. It doesn't matter actually if it's biotech, pharma, or the VC company. There are main sort of pillars which the work is organized for, right? Because the goal is the novel drug for an unmet need in the disease, and I'm working on that part. So I'll be focusing. Obviously, there are other parts like software development and so on, which at the end helps in that direction anyway. So when you think about those three pillars, right? So first, we need to actually find the new target, right? The new target, which may be useful and understand, whether somehow having an impact on this target, on this protein or this signaling will help in treating the disease. That's number one. Number two is actually just generating the drug, generating the molecule, the chemical structure, which will have effect on this target and the effect we are expecting. And the third one is actually finding the patient population and designing the clinical trials and making this drug or ensuring that the drug will be active for patients. So, and that's the main framework, right? Wherever you are, if it's biotech or pharma, this is the framework and these are the main goals of the work, right? So in biotech, earlier we have those sort of small approaches, small companies which are focusing on this early part, on really finding the new targets and maybe generating the early drugs, but really developing new platforms to find something novel we haven't seen yet or we haven't understand exactly in the disease. That's where obviously you probably can see the bigger overlap between academia skill set and industry skill set is sort of that's the main entry for scientists, right? Finding new drug targets, because this is actually at the core finding new biology, understanding new biology. And then you will see that there are different parts, like in pharma, this is well-organized machine, very oiled machine, which does a lot of those drug discovery parts, right? And obviously this is happening in biotech too, but pharma is the one when you will see all of those projects happening at once, right? From different types of drug modalities and then different stages when you can learn that. And that's a huge advantage of that. VC companies, they, are focused as well on obviously the revenue, but at the core still this is based on really making the most innovative new companies, which will once again build a platform and deliver novel targets and ultimately get something to the clinic. So this is really, that's something which I haven't known very well before actually. I moved at Yale. I work a little bit on the translation, and translation mean how we can actually translate our basic research, our in vivo mouse research into potentially patients. But to really understand the structure of the industry, that is experience.
That's for sure. Awesome. Thank you. That I think was very insightful. So now when we're talking about industry versus academia, I would say time pressure is a little bit different. Time flows a little bit differently. So here I'm going to use this word that everybody loves, KPIs. So Magda, in your opinion, when you think about time, goals to reach, or milestones and definition of a success, how would you say academia differs from industry?
I mean, well, I hope it changed since I left academia, but to me, academia was always publish or perish, right? So you might do the best research ever, but if your paper is not out, in a way, nobody cares. While at least in my opinion, in IT where I am, the quality of what you deliver, which again is a team effort, is key. And therefore, the way you do your work and that you do it well matters much more than, even whether you meet a deadline. Like we release software twice per year and we would postpone it, so we would sort of not meet our deadline if we then found a bug that we want to fix to deliver something good, so that the pharma companies Piotrek was talking about can automate what they do it faster, do it better, right? So in this sense, the objectives are probably a bit different. It's not so much flashing out the next paper, the poster. It's sort of but of course, perhaps it really depends on what exact research you do, but it's much more comprehensive, I would say, perhaps at times, and focused on making sure that what you deliver will work out there in the wild, whether it's with customers or with patients ultimately.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, so it's a little bit different, right? In science, you can publish a paper, you can spin the story a little bit differently.
No,
when you
it
have
could
a
be that
soft...
nobody sorry to get you. It could be that nobody reproduces it, but sort of as long as people cite you, it doesn't matter. Well, in industry, it does matter.
Right. In industry, it's more about money, right? So the outcome matters and the quality matters. But yeah, Anna, I would love to hear from you whether you agree with the statement that academia is all about publish or perish.
Well, the system isn't perfect, but I am a representative of the applied spectroscopy department, but we are still the fundamental research. So in fundamental research, I think there is no other way to check your results than to publish it. And I know that there is a huge discussion how to solve it. There is a huge discussion over the impact factor that is useless, to be honest, now. But I think still publishing your results is the best way to show that that you are doing something, right? Maybe if you are more into applied research and you really have the cooperation with the company, then these results can be measured in other way. But I think in this fundamental research, I don't see any other option for now. And the theoreticians get even
That's yeah,
are
that's
in the completely in the worst situation, to be honest. So yeah.
That's
I
true,
agree.
right?
I agree that academia is focusing on publishing and publishing papers is the key for us.
Perfect. Yeah. It is an important outcome, I think, because in my opinion, industry often, reads those papers and they use the discovery, which is great. So then you don't just like publish for the sake of publishing. But Joanna, I would like to follow up a little bit more and ask you a question, whether or not you think that academic experience can be an advantage, and specifically, I would ask, when you think about your circle of friends, your network, very often you have this case where somebody makes a discovery in academia and then starts, a startup, which is a spin-off of a lab. Have you heard about those cases? Do you think academic experience is useful in this case? Or is it still, it looks like business, but it's still academia in a different form?
So I have to say that I think in Poland it's not so popular. I don't have any friends from academia in Poland that did this, but I have some friends from abroad that opened their own startups. But they stayed in academia. So it's not like they moved entirely to industry. It's like a side job, right? It's like a side project. So of course it's still cooperating, incorporated somehow into their academic life and their academic job. So yeah. So the research now are, let's say, are a bit transferred to the startups, but still they are like focusing also on the research job.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I would say most of the people that I know did exactly the same thing, where they stayed in academia but have a spin-off on the side,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I guess is a great option, right? So in my opinion, being scientist is just a state of mind, meaning you keep being curious, you keep asking questions, you get to the bottom of things, which sometimes might be annoying for the purely industry people who may not get this attitude. So Piotr, in your case, would you say that academic background was an advantage when you decided to move to industry?
Yes, definitely, right? So there are things which we are trained in academia and we are working in academia, like scientific rigor, design of experiments, right? Critical thinking and then planning of what are the next steps, and interpreting data properly, right? So there is a lot we are learning, and there is a lot in our innovation academia, which is very useful in the industry, especially when we think about this early discovery parts, right? But I think this is really crucial. There are obviously some, I definitely not call them, let's say challenges, right? Because we are used to in academia really to have almost sometimes an open-ended goal, right? So you pursue your interest, you change, you pivot a little bit your experiments and so on. And obviously that's not happening in the industry and shouldn't happen in the industry, because the goal there is really, to move forward and progress your project. So you cannot really, check one more thing, or what happened if I change this little thing. It's like, no, you really have to focus on one direction, right? But nevertheless, I see and I when I discuss with when I mentor my junior colleagues, I would think that the best place, and we don't have to agree on that, but I think the best time to move to the industry is actually after PhD, right? Still, PhD in academic setting is a fantastic training, and that really gives you as well better entry later to the industry. So no, I think absolutely there is a huge experience, a huge advantage, in experience in academia.
Perfect, thank you. So we discussed a little bit, I would say, both sides on the fence, but now let's focus a little bit on a transition. So Magda, what was the hardest part just after switching to industry? What was the hardest part for you?
I will start from a funny one. Moving from wet lab back to sitting at the desk all day, my back was hurting. Literally, I was so not used to just sitting in front of the computer all day that the first few months were painful. But then it became okay. No, the two things actually. So one, I did a lot of mass spec data analysis throughout my PhD, but it was always my data. So I was always the key aspect was always, what is in the data? What can I deduce? What does it tell me about my experiments, about my patient samples, and so on? Moving to the company, I still had to dig very deep into the data, but it was not my data. And somehow I realized this makes a difference. This small part was missing. The small part about excitement, what the results will show, was not there because it was not my data. But again, this is something you also get used to very quickly. You learn to see that the challenges lay somewhere else. It's not further, at least for me, was not in the actual experimenting and discovery. Was more into growing myself in the company, sort of learning completely new skill sets. Also, communication becomes much more key. I mean, it's always on both sides. Communication is of course key, but I have the impression that at least where I am, the stress on good teamwork and communicating well. Exactly. Again, we talked about it a lot already, but because it's a team effort, so somehow this effective communication becomes sometimes the biggest challenge, but also the biggest reward if it all works great. Yeah. So I think these were the key transition pains.
Yes, in my experience, the way scientists communicate and people in the industry communicate is very different. And sometimes it is hard to make this transition where, you want to spill all the details to the smallest one of the experiment, and nobody really cares in the industry. That's sometimes painful.
And communicating with business-oriented people, right? Coming from academic mindset, it's a very different mindset to sort of tune to.
Definitely, yes. So it's like learning to speak a new language. Joanna, have you ever considered transition? And then if yes, what was the reason you did not decide to pursue industry path?
No. When I started my let's say academic career, I never thought to change. I observed my friends that were changing after PhD, for example, and they went to the companies or after the postdoc, especially in Switzerland, it was very popular to move to the industry. But I'm happy in the lab and doing my own research. Also, there are no, well, maybe not no, but less experiments are from industry at the synchrotrons and free electron laser is it's all, there are almost no experiments from industry. So I was always involved in such activities. But before I started my PhD, I was working in a bank for a year, and that was the most boring year in my entire life. And the people were really frustrated there, and we were meeting in a coffee room, and the people were just complaining. And I promised to myself that I will never work in such environment again. I know this is, it's something different when you are working in a biotech company than in a bank, but still. I think the experimental work is really exciting, and even if you are tired of many things, then you go to the lab and can make really something nice, and so I always like it.
Perfect.
I was never tempted by by moving and switching.
I never worked in a bank, but I imagine this is not a place for people who have bursts of energy and creativity. So I can completely relate to what you said. Great, thank you. Magda, now question for you, because you mentioned that you were somewhat surprised what a great fit you were after switching to industry. So what were the skills that were most valuable that, let you go smoothly between two different fields and two different worlds?
So there are a few aspects. For generally, like finding myself in an environment surrounded by software developers, I think what helped was that exactly I was in the systems biology field. I talked to physicists a lot, to data modelers throughout my PhD, so I knew how to talk to this separate breed of humans, which is not exactly the same, but was already very close. And in the actual testing job, the attention to details turned out I'm very good finding small bugs, also like, pressing random things in a creative way. So this was sort of very unexpected discovery. Also because I'm not a typical personality for someone that would be systematically testing things. Turned out that one can also test in a different way. And this also works really well. And then, generally sort of my very communicative, collaborative personality, which sort of warmed up the whole office, was also somehow working really well. So it was also very welcome. Yeah, and this also helped me. This is maybe one aspect we haven't talked about yet. Switching to industry, I was already able to sort of progress, try different things, switch jobs, switch tasks quite a lot. I've been a tester, I've been a scrum master, I've been the team lead for a small AI team. I'm now a product manager. I think in academia this would not be possible to within 4 years sort of switch pretty much almost every year. Maybe in some fields it's possible. In biology, I think I would be a postdoc for 3 years and then perhaps an next postdoc. Like the career progression is usually not that fast. And arguably, perhaps it really depends on the size of a company, how much you might have those different opportunities. But certainly one feels appreciated if your individual skills are noticed and then are sort of nourished and then used to give you new tasks and sort of make you progress. So this was really, really good.
Awesome. Yes, I agree. When you're in academia, you own your project, you run scripts to analyze the data, you collect the data, you do everything. So it takes much longer and it is much harder to switch, but it's not impossible. So there is hope. I switched fields numerous times in academia, so totally doable. Piotr, you mentioned that you kind of are in both worlds still. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, how would you combine both? Like, how would you, like keep this connection to both sides?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question, and we already heard examples of it. That indeed, PIs from the labs who are spinning off their companies and just staying in the position of the founder of the company, but continuing their academic work is one of those options, and sort of natural extension for academics who stay in academia but want to have at least something to do with taking their work actually and their discoveries further to the potentially to the clinic. About combining those two worlds it's an advantage for both of them. And I'm blessed I had experience from both ends. At Yale, actually, one of my projects was co-founded by a pharma company. So we did have a collaboration established. And that happens often. You will see that pharma companies do collaborate and set up sort of almost, some sort of joint scientific research programs because there is an advantage that, on academia side, what you care on a person working on a project, I mean, what you want is to get your Nature paper, right? In the pharma or in the industry, what you want is to get a target, right? Which and design the drug to this target, which then will progress to the clinic. So there is an overlap, right? And there is a common way to move forward, right? And it's clear, and everyone in the industry recognize that a lot of this meticulous research and then really deep basic research can happen really only in academia because there is a space and atmosphere for that and more time maybe. But that's really the best experience, and we did it as well in the biotech. So in my first company, we had a fantastic collaboration between our company and the group in Oxford and Birmingham. In inflammatory bowel disease samples, where that's what happens. So we generate the beautiful data. We had the fantastic, samples from this collaboration. We found our target and moved to the clinic. And our colleagues from UK published a beautiful paper and actually putting the data into the public domain. So that's one of the things actually I'm most proud of, because we really did sort of both worlds and they got connected, and there is an advantage for both of them. So it really is possible, and I would encourage it, right? And it's possible from both ends, to be honest. But most importantly, it actually is an advantages for both as well. Again, places help. So Boston obviously is natural inclination for that, because even the way how the buildings of the companies are built around MIT is and Broad Institute is specifically for this purpose, right? But nevertheless, right? I mean, obviously there are companies. I was in AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca has a fantastic site in Warsaw. And collaborate a lot with computational biology, I think, in Poland. So there is a lot of opportunities to be connected still between those two worlds. And obviously, at the end, scientific advisors are mainly academics.
That's true. And I totally agree. When I was interviewing for the editor in Cell, in the evening, I took a stroll through Cambridge, and I was like so positively surprised how close industry and academia can be physically even. So it is truly amazing. Okay, so let's now switch gears a little bit. And let's think about some people in our audience who might be, early career at the beginning of their path, and they might be struggling a little bit with, like which way to go and how to decide. So Magda, what piece of advice would you give to people who are at the crossroads and they are considering pursuing a career in academia or industry and they are not sure how to proceed?
If they are still sort of in the middle of their PhDs, or masters, one piece of advice would be it's important to have soft skills, of course, as always. But what helped me and many other people I know, actually for both, whether academia or industry, is to have certain technology you would know. Like it doesn't matter now that I work on lung cancer. I could have worked on whatever other disease or cell system, but it mattered that I knew mass spectrometry. I knew people that got their positions because they knew microscopy really well or any other technique. I have an impression that actually the knowing certain analytical techniques might be much more important for getting a job, especially in industry, but actually also in academia, I would say. So this would be one. But for actual applying for jobs, I would really suggest to be open-minded and really apply for jobs, even if the name might seem like you are not a good fit, or you might not even understand fully what it is, but you might find a good fit where you least expect it. This is exactly how it was with me. So it doesn't have to be the perfect, imagined job as the one you will apply for. I think being open-minded might really help.
Awesome. Thank you. Joanna, so now the part of the audience that is considering staying in academia, what kind of signs should they be looking for, in your opinion, that there will be a really good fit? Academia is a specific world, right? So what signs should they be on the lookout for to make sure that they will be a good fit?
It's really hard to say. Also because I am at the Institute of Polish Academy of Sciences, which is a bit different from university. So if you are considering working in university, then you probably have also some kind of pedagogical skills, right? And being just a scientist, you need to be well organized, and you need to know how to organize your work by your own. So in most teams that I was working, nobody will tell you what you need to do. You just need to figure out by yourself. So if you are that kind of person, I think you are perfect for academia. But I think the advice from me is just try. We are living in a world where you can change from one job to another, so just try. If you are finishing your PhD, go for a postdoc and check how it looks like somewhere abroad. Maybe go for an industry and check if this is something for you. I think there are so many opportunities now that you can go back and forth, and I know people that that came from industry to academia back again, and they are doing really great. So, the world is open.
Perfect. I would add one thing to that, which is perseverance. Nobody will tell you that 90% of the time you will fail, and that's completely normal. And some of the failures actually can be turned into success. But it is much harder to bear when you're on your own in academia with your project. It is much easier to, let's say, patch those failures or solve some problems with money when you're in the industry, because you have entire team, right? So, Piotr, what would be, in your opinion, kind of a thing that people should be on the lookout to know that there will be a good fit for industry? Or are there any signs?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I'm wondering, right? Is it really a good sign, right? When we talk, and we already mentioned that in different types of different answers, we have this really clear prioritization in the industry, right? There is a strong sort of collaborative effort there, right? Indeed, in the industry, you are part of the team which tries for, and your success is really, did you contribute to the advancement of the project, which is made of many teams, actually. So I think that something sort of more structured and more, as well with potential for managerial options, right? That's something which, well, obviously in academia you may be ahead of the laboratory, but there is a different type of managerial responsibilities in the industry. So I think those are really the main things, like the collaborative, approach and goal-driven work, and if that's something what you like, and with potential of managerial, and as well, industry, as we mentioned before, is huge. There's so many other options, right? Because you may end up switching more into the business positions as well, right, and learn a lot of the business parts which we did not have much of experience in academia, right, if any, to be honest, right? So that's there's this sort of wearing many hats and checking different directions is really possible in biotech and pharma. Yeah.
Yes, to that, I will add something that Magda already mentioned. If you like work-life balance, industry might be the place to go.
Although it also really depends, right? I also know people in industry that don't have a good work-life balance. I think it's a personal.
That's true.
That probably depends. And then biotech already will have as well different answer to that.
That is true. When you have to finish the project, yes, there are nights when, I stayed in microscopy room in industry. But those, in my experience, it was a little bit different, because in academia, I did have, like few times 18-hour long working day, but I did it with joy. Meaning it wasn't a problem. In industry, at least for me, it was more that, there is a timeline, we have to deliver the project, so let's push, all-nighter. So it happens in both worlds. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, last question for this part before we jump to questions from the audience is, and this is question to all of you, so listen carefully. If you could go back 10 years back, would you make the same career decision again? Magda.
10 years ago, I was sort of starting my PhD, so yes, totally. Yeah, I think I would generally recommend to everyone switching at least a few times, if not between academia and industry, then try out different institute in academia, do internships, move somewhere else for your master's or for your PhD. This is a really enriching experience. And I know there are also advantages of heating up your spot in a certain lab, but it's very, I believe it made me really a better scientist, the very fact that I changed places and I saw how things can be done differently in different labs. So I really totally recommend it.
Perfect. I 100% agree. My research was always interdisciplinary, and my master's and my PhD, so I totally agree. You get the best of, both worlds. Joanna, would you do exactly, would you make exactly same decisions as you did if you had a chance to change something?
Yes, actually, 10 years ago, I started my postdoc. So yes, I agree that moving from one institute to another was a very good decision, and it really speed up many things in my career. And yes, I will do it again.
Perfect.
Exactly as it was.
Perfect. Thank you. Piotr, what about you?
The answer will be yes as well. So 10 years ago, I was exactly in the middle of my time at Yale. So that, the biggest decision in this 10 years is actually moving to the industry, first to the biotech, and moving to Boston. And it was a fantastic decision, right? I think this really, makes so many exciting, things possible for me. So yes, absolutely. I think that would be approach. And I agree, very much. I agree with Magda, like the experience and being able to be exposed to different labs, different countries as well, but different laboratories and different, and try to learn indeed the language of different fields is crucial, right? And that really gives you, a fantastic opportunity to later design and so realize what you like the most.
Perfect. So the conclusion is, no matter if it's academia or industry, we have a group of very happy people that don't want to
Maybe
change
our
anything.
mottos are just don't regret.
Exactly. Just be happy, right? Awesome. Perfect. We have a few questions from the audience. So let me start with Joanna, as you already volunteered behind the scenes to answer this question. Are there realistic ways to balance having a research career, while also raising children?
No balance with children. It's a chaos, complete chaos. But I thought about the answer, and I think there are two things. First is somebody with whom you can share the time with kids. So either it's your partner, or I don't know, grandparents, or if you have a partner and grandparents, then you are like completely lucky. And because that's the key. I mean, I couldn't be here if my husband wouldn't be now with my kids, right? And the second thing that you need to learn how to set priorities and really look at your list of things to do and choose the ones that are really important and the ones that are unimportant, and you really lose your time for it. And I think I was doing before kids, I was doing a lot of things that were unimportant and really took my time, but I did it because I had this time, right? As Magda mentioned, no work-life balance, staying up late. Now I can't do this because I'm going back home and there are kids there and I can't work with them, obviously. So you really need to let some things go. And I mean, it's hard. It's hard for people who are used to working 12, 15 hours a day. It's hard to set for really working 8 hours and focus on the most important things. And that's my two advice, and really getting used to that your life is a chaos, and and that you need to change plans and so on. So, but
Yes. You have to be creative very
yes.
often. Think on your feet. So that's also a skill. But I would agree that yes, it is possible. From my experience, the most important thing was something that you mentioned, that you have somebody taking care of your kids or kid, where, you know, like gives you peace of mind, and you can actually focus on your work and not be constantly switching between work and thinking, you know, is my kid alive? Does it still have 4 limbs, and so on? So definitely that's very important thing. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. Now another question, second question from the audience. Is it possible to do PhD and work in the industry in the same time? Is there a difference in industry perception between PhD in biology or medical sciences? And Piotr, since you mentioned a few times differences between biotech and pharma, I'll ask you to answer this question.
Sure. Yeah, so I think so. There are some companies which are offering the industrial PhD programs, right? I don't think it's very, very common, especially in the United States. I think it may be more common in Europe. So if someone knows better than me, definitely chime in. I've seen some options like that. I think more often there are industrial postdocs. And that's something which I have seen more often. And I think so from my point of view, you know, doing PhD in academia and seeing as well fresh PhD students coming after defending to the industry, this is sort of a fantastic approach. I think it's really rewarding. There is something really nice about doing PhD in academia and having this freedom of really pursuing your interest, right? And that's one of the really few times you can really do that. So I would suggest focusing rather on this. Whether there is a difference in the perception of PhDs, No, I don't think so. I think, you know, hiring PhDs or postdocs in the industry, you know, that what I mentioned before, right? You expect, you know, sort of a quick, you know, learning and a quick sort of analyzing the data, being able to design the novel essays, being able to really drive the research that is happening in the company. So in that case, I don't think there is different perception. Obviously, someone more with the medical background have another options, right? So moving forward to the clinic and being responsible for designing clinical trials and so on, that's something what as life science PhD rarely are doing, where you know, MD PhDs are sort of naturally moving toward this direction. So there are different opportunities, but all in all, there is no difference in the perception.
Perfect, thank you. So Magda, let me ask you a question, like the same one. Do you think, because your PhD, your work in academia was very different than your work in the industry. Do you think it would be possible to find a way to, you know, somehow merge those two worlds, like doing PhD and working in industry?
So we had a case of someone doing a PhD in academia and then sort of re-implementing the algorithms from their PhD times in our software afterwards, many years ago. So in a way, we also had the case of people going back to academia and re-implementing parts of our software in academic software. So in a way, then this is sort of combining. But no, I think what you mean, I'm sort of coming back to what Piotr was saying. There are in Germany, I'm aware of some PhD programs in industry, in BMW, in Merck. I think the biggest companies sometimes offer this. Postdocs even more. In many pharma companies, they happen. So if someone is really set with mindset for doing a PhD and it has to be in industry, then at least I think Germany does offer some positions like this. But I would absolutely subscribe to whatever Piotr was saying. To me, this freedom of satisfying one's curiosity through experiments that you have when you work in academia, this is absolutely fantastic. So I would also really recommend this rather than turning into this industry goal-oriented, team-oriented work, which, you know, one can do for many years ahead when already switching to industry. So maybe better to not combine. This would be
Perfect. Another question for you, Magda. What is the most effective way of transitioning out of academia after a postdoc?
Well, I just did a bridge postdoc, like 6 months in the same lab with my PhD. So technically, I wouldn't maybe count it to a postdoc. Most effective, well, just browse job ads and apply. I think they are career first, right? And I remember the institute where I was doing my PhD had such yearly career first, even more frequently career events where they would invite alumni to talk about their paths. I remember being on several of such career days and thinking whether, for example, publishing industry would be something for me, even chatting with alumni who has made the switch. So I think this is a very nice way to try to figure out what could be your next step. But as someone already said, I recommend to just try. If you're wondering, shall I move to industry, shall I go to academia, just try whatever opportunity comes across, and you can always switch. I think these days, it's possible to make those transitions. People are on average in one job for 2-3 years, right? Looking at CVs these days. So such decisions are not forever. And yeah, there are options. And whatever, the more distance the experience is, the more enriching it will be. Might be a bit harder at the beginning, but really I learned so much after. Even if I decide to move back to academia at some point, the current experience I've made, I believe, would really help me also in whatever comes next.
Perfect. Piotr, what about you? You did 2 postdocs, correct?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So what would you say, like, is the most effective way to escape, quote unquote, academia and transition to industry?
So yeah, I wouldn't call it escape, but I think there is just there are a couple of points which may be very helpful of really like how you sort of position yourself, right? How you position yourself out of the academia for the industry, right? Even how you write your CVs and what is the prioritized part of your CV, right? So when you can turn your scientific contributions into actual skills that matter for the companies, where you can highlight your skills in decision making, in the project ownership, or data driven problem solving, right? So those are the way how you're positioning yourself, which will definitely help in on the side of industry to recognize that you can be a good candidate, right? Obviously, there is networking is the most important part, right? Being able to network, being able to talk informally, having even informal interviews, sort of like just conversations about understanding what the positions are, how the type of work look like, right? Obviously, everyone who's being on this call and listening to this call already is step further in networking and thinking about that, right? But that's definitely the case, right? I mean, anyone who's listening, like, reach out, can always talk more and discuss more, because that's really the way of positioning. If you decide that you're interested, even if you didn't decide, but you want to understand more, what is the day-to-day job and how does it look like in different parts of the industry, the best is just to network and talk.
Definitely. I would say that what gave me, I feel, advantage in doing a postdoc and then switching to industry is a chance to learn some leadership skills. When you're a grad student, you don't get that many chances to mentor somebody or oversee the project. So for me, in my opinion, it was, it was great experience to gain. Awesome. Thank you so much. Joanna, what is the most important driver of your career decisions?
Now I would say family.
Okay.
So having a stable job with flexible hours is really important for me. Before it was, I would say, curiosity. And I don't know how to call it, but this, in science, a new project is always exciting. And the thing is that during my PhD, I started, I was involved in few new projects. So it was really, something new and we can start something from the scratch. We need to invent how to do it. We need to invent the experimental plan. We need to apply for a beam time, go there, then analyze the data, and so on. So that was this driver. But now, when I get older, it's my family and the time with them, and that's why I really I appreciate that my job gives me the opportunity to combine the family life and still working in science.
Perfect. So, this is perfect example how to balance it, right? So living example of how to balance it. Great. Joanna, we also have one spontaneous question from the audience. So since I already have you here, I'll just ask you whether or not you're collaborating with industry, and is it even possible for you to collaborate with industry?
It is possible in a way that we have the offer of some experimental techniques that we can offer to industry. We didn't have a collaboration in a sense that we do some kind of a research together. But it wasn't recently, but in the past, my department did some measurements for companies, more like not like a research, but as a tool. As a tool to find out some information about the product. But yes, it is possible, and we are open for cooperation, of course.
Perfect, thank you. Another question from the audience, and here I would love to have a volunteer to answer. What is the best way to challenge the narrative that after completing my postdoc in academia, I am overqualified yet underqualified for industry roles? Do we have a volunteer?
I mean, I can start maybe, and so I can see where this question can come from, right? So technically, under if you think about the academic career, or the sort of really the linear growth in academic career of you did your PhD, you did your postdoc, and the next step, especially in the United States, the next step is actually becoming assistant professor, right? So this is what you're looking for your tenure track position, which is not easy. And in the same time, when you enter the industry in that time, you may end up with the senior scientist position or something like that. So there is a couple of points I want to mention. Like, first is that the titles are really not as important as what you are doing and what you will actually be able to achieve in the company. At the end of the day, the person who really think about the title the most is yourself, right? And it doesn't really matter as much to others. And there is a part of what I was saying at the very beginning, right? There is this very specific things we are doing in the industry, of how the target validation looks like, how the drug discovery looks like, how and it's really the process which one has to learn. And rarely we will see this being done in academia, just because the projects are completely different, or the scientific questions are completely different. So there is a part of learning that one has to do, even if you are your fantastic postdoc with your Nature and Science paper after that, right? Nevertheless, the experience is an asset, right? So if industry is not looking for more publications, but is looking for people who can solve the problems, and you definitely are someone who solved the problems if you have your successful postdoc, right? So that's the most important thing to emphasize, like the ability to learn and collaborate and really deliver on the multiple projects, right? So there is a little bit of patience, obviously, I guess, but if something that's something what interests you, this is definitely the way, right? So I did the switch after a postdoc and after the position which was almost technically as well the faculty position at Yale, and entered sort of on a higher level to the industry, but still realized that it took me quite some time to learn those bits and pieces of what the drug discovery is, right? And something which someone, if it's earlier in the industry, will know it better, right? But you're coming with a different set of skills, right? And a different set of experiences, which are crucial as well for the discovery in the industry. So I wouldn't say it's really underqualified or overqualified there.
I couldn't agree more with what you said. Like, often it's all about spinning our experience and how we show it. We are taught to be very critical in science and always, find the smallest details. And like sometimes, people are like, oh, I am not qualified in A because I didn't run this control and that control, and there's this possibility. So I have a feeling that very often scientists sell themselves short and don't think about broader context, where indeed in academia you have chances to learn how to communicate with people, right? Like nobody thinks about presenting a poster as lesson in communication. We're just, oh, this is my research, I just like report to the audience what I did. So yeah, that definitely it's all about the narrative and perspective, how you put your experience. Okay. Last question from the audience, and then we'll have a few minutes for spontaneous questions, if there are any. But the question is there any age limit, career stage limit in making a transition between academia and industry? Magda, what is your opinion?
I don't know. I think it's also something that's changing. I can imagine that, both academia and industry were different places 10 years ago and they are now. There's also now in Europe, at least in Germany, a bit of a crisis. Companies are restructuring. There are less open positions. So I guess this is not a fixed, like a answer to this question cannot be fixed, but it's really changing. But I can imagine that in industry, sometimes coming with more experience is really beneficial. So it doesn't have to be straight after PhD, but someone with a bit broader experiences might bring this like very good, unique, broad skill set that will be very appreciated. So I would absolutely not be able to point to like a reasonable age limit above which it's sort of all set. I also know of cases of people having successful careers in industry and then switching to academia to a group leader position where all this industry experience of like structuring lab very well was very appreciated to then be very successful in academia. So I think as long as you're able to transfer your skills and apply them in new environments, your experiences, even if they are already quite big because you are a bit more advanced in age, will be just very appreciated.
Thank you. Joanna, I'll ask you this. Let's say that we have somebody from industry who wants to switch back to academia or like just did masters and suddenly wants to switch to academia. Do you think there is an age limit where it's possible or not?
Well, I think to start completely from the beginning, the earlier the best, of course. But if you already have a PhD or you are already experienced with the postdoc and then you switch to industry and then you want to move to academia, as we already mentioned today, what counts in academia is the track record, right? So the number of papers. If you want to come back, then you need to have a track record. If you have it in an industry, then it's okay. Then you can apply for money and probably you can start your own project. But in other case, it will be difficult. But I think it's not impossible, but difficult, let's say.
Awesome, thank you. Piotr, what is your opinion?
My honest opinion is that if you are really committed to something, excited about something, and good about this, there is no limits, right? I mean, there shouldn't be. And I refuse sort of the premise of the question. And if anything, I guess, and it's made different again on the continents. What I remember about Europe is, if anything, the age limit is problematic in academia, knowing, ERC grants being, X years post your PhD and not a day more, otherwise it's going to be automatically rejected and stuff like that. And I think in Poland is as well, right? So there is a very strict and kind of artificial borders on this. And I know it's changing and there is a chance to switch and find another funding, but there are those sort of roadblocks there on that. I don't think it really matters in the industry. Your experience matters and what you're bringing to the table. Again, yes, it's easier early or being a junior scientist is easier because there's just more positions like that, right? And there's no question about that. But all in all, just if you are excited about this, try. And if someone tells you that's impossible, then talk with someone else.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I think, very often when we're switching fields, you come from different field, you have new perspective, you bring completely different point of view, right? Completely different perspective. So it's more like, flow of a fresh air to a room, which I think very often both academia and industry can benefit from. So yes, I agree. No age limits, let's remove all the barriers. Awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from people on the call? If yes, you can raise your hand, you can just shout it out, you can write in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, I guess you guys did such an awesome job that you answered, all the questions, no more doubts, no more hesitation. Everybody knows what to do next. Awesome.
Fantastic.
In this case, thank you so much for your time. It was a great pleasure to chat with you. I'm sure we could stay, 3 more hours and we wouldn't get to the bottom of the subject. It is multi-layer and multi-dimensional. But thank you so much. I think all your answers were great and very insightful, and I hope our audience, has much better I would say view on how it is in both academia, how it is during the transition and in industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you for the
Thanks a lot.
invitation.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Then
Anya?
thank you. Then